You are about to listen to a short excerpt from The Fight, a frank discussion, strategy, and plan for working on desire.
Every once in a while you may say to yourself, how could I possibly face Hashem when I've created such a deep pit? And even more than that, how could you possibly tell me that I'm given reward for controlling myself when I created this desire? When I was younger, I didn't have it. If I didn't read those things, if I didn't go to those sites, if I didn't look at those pictures, I wouldn't have had this situation. I made it. I created it. It's my fault. How could I face Hashem? And surely, how could I expect to get reward for winning this fight? And I'd like to share with you that those words are not said by your Yetzer Tov. They're not said by anyone other than the Satan. Number one, you did not choose to be born into this generation. I guarantee, had you been born in Europe 100 years ago, or 200 years ago, and the only woman you ever saw was your cousin one time, you would not be in the situation you're in. The generation that we were born into is very, very difficult. And I no longer say it, but I used to say to my kids all the time, Baruch Hashem that I was not born in your generation. Because people born now face such a bitter, bitter battle. You didn't choose the battle. You didn't choose to be born into this generation. But even more than that, did you choose desire? Did you wake up in the morning and say, Hashem, I wish I had this lust, this all-encompassing hunger and drive that constantly gnawed at me and bothered me and wouldn't let me a moment of rest? I doubt you chose that. As you didn't choose a generation, you also didn't choose desire. But there's one more step, and I have to bring the Chazal because I don't believe that you'd fully accept it until you saw it directly from a Rashi. When Lot was in Sodom, the entire city was supposed to be destroyed, Lot as well. Nevertheless, Hashem had mercy on Lot, and Hashem saved Lot. But Rashi explains why. Because when Avram went down with Sarah to Mitzrayim, Avram said to Paro, this is my sister. Lot was there. Lot could have easily spilled the beans. Lot could have easily said, no, that's not his sister, that's his wife. Had Lot said that, Avram would have been killed. The only reason Lot was following Avram anyway was for his money. Since Lot was the natural Yoresh, he was the inheritor, had Avram been killed, Lot would have had it made in the shade, and all of Avram's wealth would have belonged to Lot. Yet Lot didn't say anything, and because he didn't say anything, Avram was not killed. Therefore, Hashem paid him back many years later. When it was time to destroy Sodom, Hashem did not have Lot destroyed. This Rashi is very, very perplexing. Let's focus on what he's saying. Avram took care of Lot from the time he was a little boy. Avram taught Lot. Avram brought Lot up. Everything that Avram did for Lot was for Lot's benefit. And Lot was in the proximity of this great tzaddik, and they go down to Mitzrayim. And there's a moment of vulnerability. Could you imagine what a lowlife Lot would have been at that moment to his uncle, who was also his brother-in-law, had he spilled the beans to Paro and Paro killed his brother-in-law? Could you imagine what a lowlife creep that would be? And for what? For money? You're going to have your brother-in-law, your family killed for money? And you're telling me that Lot didn't do it and he's given reward for that? Years later, his life is saved because of that great thing? What great thing? All he did was not act like a lowlife. And I believe the answer is that to Lot, it was a major nisayon. Money was central in Lot's life. And this was an opportunity to gain a lot of money. And the reality is he was tempted. And he really would have liked to have said it. And it almost slipped out, but he held back. And because he held back, he's given reward. What do you mean he held back? All he did was what any sane, normal human being did. Yeah, but he was a different human being. He had trained himself for years and years to desire money, and therefore to him, it was a tremendous nisayon. And I believe what this Rashi is sharing with us is that yes, Lot was depraved. Lot spoiled his very nature But because he was in that situation, if he resisted, he's given reward. Because Hashem does not hold back reward from any one of Hashem's creations. And even though he made himself that manner, made himself krum, the fact that he was faced in the Nisayon and resisted, he's given reward. And I think Rashi is sharing with us a fundamental principle. You did not make yourself depraved. You were born into a generation that's incomparable to any other generation in the course of history. Never before has there been this much taiva. And you didn't create desire. If you were the biggest tzaddik in the world, if you were Shimshon HaGibor, is it true that you would have been different? Maybe yes, maybe no. But one thing I do know, you didn't choose it. You didn't choose this generation. You didn't choose desire. So even if we say that you created this trap, the bottom line is that you're given tremendous reward for every moment that you resist. Even if you blame yourself, and even if you think you created it and you made it, you're given tremendous reward. If Lot was given reward for making himself into such a depraved person, yet he resisted, he's given reward. Surely a Jew who fights battle L'man Hashem is given reward. Every minute you resist, you're given reward. Even if you think you made yourself into this, you didn't do it, you didn't choose a generation, you didn't choose desire, and even if you did, you're given tremendous reward for every moment that you battle the fight, every moment that you put in a real effort.
You've been listening to a short excerpt from The Fight, a frank discussion, strategy, and plan for working on desire. The Fight, as well as many other series, are available at theshmooze.com or on the Shmooze app for iPhone or Android.